Alright, so just to kind of show you guys where I'm at, we have my focal point is being kind of propped up, so this won't be there. It's glued to the stand, and the horizontal beam is glued to the vertical beam, and that's why it's propped up to make sure the glue dries completely. I have my hands completely cut out, and I did stain those as well. So I just took a little bowl of coffee that was actually from the coffee pot this morning, and I just dipped it in there for about 4 or 5 minutes, then pulled it out and let it dry. If it's taking a long time to dry, I wanted to speed these up, so I went over it with a blow dryer, a hair dryer, excuse me, and went over it for about 4 minutes, and then I pressed it. So you just take a stack of books and flatten it out, because they will crinkle because it's wet paper and it dries quickly. So I'm going to get those glued on, but before I get those glued on, I want to show you kind of layer number 3. And with layer number 3, we want to add some texture, and I really love texture paste. It's fun to mess around with, and I'm going to utilize that on top of the composition here and there, just to give it another element of depth. So for this texture paste, and you guys, if you watch the technique know, we're just going to take a palette knife, and I have a stencil that I want to use, and I'm going to lay that over top of the stencil as carefully as I can, because I don't want to gloop this everywhere. For my stencil, I picked more of a round pattern because I have a lot of geometric shapes. I wanted to add some contrast to the piece. So I'm just going to kind of gloop that on the two sides here. And again, I'm trying to be careful. I'm not trying to make a mess. I'm trying to be a little bit more precise in this stage. And if you get a little bit on your composition, just take a piece of paper towel and scrape it off. It comes off fairly easy. And I'm going to take this stencil, and I'm holding it down tight. If you can't hold it and work at the same time, you can tape it down. Use some painter's tape. That way it peels easy. And then I'm just going to kind of lift up, and I've got some texture on there. And I'm going to repeat that pattern over and over again. So I'm going to extend it down a little bit here. I'm going to put it inside, and I'll show you guys that and what it looks like when I'm finished.